Tulsi Gabbard was born on April 12, 1981, in the village of Leloaloa in American Samoa. When she was 2, her family relocated to Hawaii, where she would grow up steeped in the island's culture and values. She was the 4th of 5 children. Her father, Mike Gabbard, later entered Hawaii politics, while her mother, Carol, managed a vegetarian restaurant in Moilili. Raised largely at home, Tulsi practiced martial arts, surfed, studied yoga, and was drawn early to spiritual teachings. She embraced Hinduism in her teenage years, finding guidance in its emphasis on service, duty, and selflessness. At age 21, she was elected to the Hawaii State Legislature in 2002, becoming the youngest woman in the state to hold that office. During her term, she balanced college studies with public service and soon enlisted in the Hawaii Army National Guard. In 2003, she was deployed to Iraq as a medical specialist, a tour that earned her a combat medical badge under enemy fire. After returning in 2005, she trained as an officer and later served in Kuwait, teaching counterterrorism, a role recognized by the Kuwaiti military. By the time she left active service in 2020, she had reached the rank of lieutenant colonel. In 2010, she won a seat on the Honolulu City Council. In 2012, she ran for U.S. Congress in Hawaii's 2nd District. Defying expectations as a long-shot contender and underdog, she won and took office in 2013. At 31, she was both the first American Samoan and the first practicing Hindu elected to Congress. As a freshman representative, she quickly made waves. She was named vice chair of the Democratic National Committee in 2013, but resigned in 2016 to endorse Bernie Sanders. That same year, she championed and saw passed into law Talia's Law, which requires better protections for military children, one of many family and service-oriented bills she has sponsored. In Congress, she also co-sponsored bills advancing LGBT rights, gun control, healthcare access, and legislative oversight on foreign conflicts, such as the Stop Arming Terrorists and No More Presidential Wars Acts. She also stood out for her foreign policy views. A combat veteran, Gabbard opposed overseas regime change wars, making headlines when she met Bashar al-Assad in Syria in 2017 without official State Department approval. She drew criticism and praise alike for her anti-interventionism. In 2020, she ran for the Democratic presidential nomination, becoming the first female combat veteran to launch a bid, but finished low in delegate counts and withdrew in March while endorsing Joe Biden. Shortly afterward, Gabbard distanced herself from the Democratic Party, citing its elitist cabal of woke warmongers. She became an independent in 2022 and officially joined the Republican Party in late 2024. During Trump's post-2020 orbit, she emerged as a pro-Trump, anti-intervention voice, helping prep him for debates and earning a Senate-confirmed appointment as Director of National Intelligence, DNI, in February 2025. Her nomination shocked many given her unconventional career and foreign policy skepticism. As DNI, she assumed leadership over the U.S.'s 18 intelligence agencies, a role that would thrust her into the national spotlight in ways few expected. That spotlight has blazed especially brightly this week. On July 18, 2025, Gabbard issued a dramatic public statement calling for former President Barack Obama and senior officials, James Clapper, John Brennan, James Comey, Susan Rice, John Kerry, Andrew McCabe, to be prosecuted for a treasonous conspiracy over their handling of 2016 election intelligence. She claimed that the Obama administration manufactured intelligence, manipulated assessments around Russian interference, and aimed to delegitimize Donald Trump's presidency with a secret years-long coup. To support her claim, she declassified and released dozens of classified documents, emails, intelligence community assessments, and redacted memos. She asserted that an early September 2016 draft assessment concluded Russia probably lacked capacity to influence elections, while a later January 2017 report contradicted this narrative. Gabbard insisted she has forwarded all relevant files to the Department of Justice and demanded accountability to the fullest extent of the law. Her actions ignited an immediate firestorm. Critics, including Democratic Congressman Jim Himes, accused Gabbard of unleashing baseless, politically motivated attacks inconsistent with bipartisan Senate findings, asserting Russian intent to influence the 2016 vote. At the Aspen Security Forum, Senator Mark Warner D.V., vice chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, strongly rebuked her, claiming she politicized intelligence, damaged U.S. alliances, and removed officials unwilling to conform to her narrative. He warned that key intelligence allies have pulled back and that she lacked credibility, especially after unauthorized appearances and statements. Supporters among Trump-aligned conservatives praised her, echoing long-held denial of Russian interference. Some pundits celebrated her as bringing much-needed transparency and reform. Others warned the move risked deepening intelligence polarization, eroding public trust, and harming U.S. readiness. Even within the IC, onlookers wondered whether her release of internal memos constituted reckless exposure or responsible oversight. Gabbard's twist is stark, a former anti-war Democrat now leading the intelligence community while echoing Trump's most divisive critiques of his predecessors. Few predicted that the Congresswoman who once advocated for Middle East de-escalation and a ceasefire in Syria would call for prosecuting Barack Obama, let alone five-time senior cabinet officials, for allegedly undermining American democracy. It's an evolution that began with public service in state and city halls and continued with her combat service and principled stands in Congress. Underpinning this pivot are her core beliefs: a distrust of entrenched political institutions, skepticism of military interventionism, and insistence on American sovereignty. She sees the intelligence apparatus as overdue for reform and transparency, one liberated from partisan influence. But she has also positioned herself at the center of defining national debates: how to balance national security secrecy with democratic accountability, whether intelligence agencies should serve policy or guard against political manipulation, and how former administrations are held responsible for their actions. She has placed top figures from both parties under moral and legal scrutiny. The fallout is still unfolding. The Justice Department has not indicated whether it will open investigations. Senate Republicans have remained largely silent, some quietly supportive of investigating their predecessors, others hesitant to set legal precedent that could boomerang in future administrations. Intelligence agencies have not yet commented, but Gabbard's critics warn she may sow either necessary reform or dangerous internal distrust. Domestically, the public is split. Supporters see her as a defender of democracy and truth. Critics see her as weaponizing intelligence for political ends. The media cycle is ablaze. Coverage spans every ideological perspective, from touting her as a whistleblower to condemning her as destabilizing national security. For Gabbard personally, this marks the culmination of a journey that began in Leloa and ascended through military, legislative, presidential, and now intelligence roles. She has reinvented herself time and again, as a devout Hindu, as a soldier pushing against foreign wars, as a female trailblazer in Congress, as a Democrat turned independent turned Republican, and as a DNI challenging the very fabric of the U.S. establishment. Influential to her are her combat tours, learning firsthand the costs of military intervention, her time in Congress, crafting legislation to limit presidential military power and protect vulnerable populations, and her outsider spirit, embracing roles few have held, rejecting partisan labels, and speaking unconventionally. After this week's revelations, Gabbard is now at a crossroads. Will she lead a true reckoning into the integrity of U.S. intelligence, or will she be viewed as igniting partisan conflict at the highest levels? Will Congress back her push for legal accountability of past leaders, or will they close ranks and denounce her move to politicize intelligence? Will U.S. allies stand firm in sharing critical information, or will they retreat if American intelligence feels unreliable? None of these outcomes are finalized. What is clear is that Tulsi Gabbard, a woman who once defied expectations at every turn, is rewriting the rules on how intelligence leaders engage the public and history. Whether her actions produce retrospective justice, modern fracturing, or some combination thereof remains to be seen. Her story so far spans multiple chapters: a devoted Hawaii daughter, a combat medic, a local lawmaker, a trailblazing congresswoman, a presidential hopeful, and now the most powerful intelligence voice in Washington. Female, minority, non-traditional, and thoroughly independent. Her direction and legacy will reflect not just what she uncovers about the past, but how she stewards power in the present. One way or another, Tulsi Gabbard's name is no longer just part of an alternate political story. It's central to the one being written now, on screen and in memory, about America's pursuit of accountability and transparency in its most secret places.